Ho ho ho! Hello everybody! Welcome to my elf session on the Tech Festive calendar for 2022. We're going to talk to you about Santa, the power platform Addict. Never seen before footage of what goes on, what makes North Pole Inc. tick. Alright, let's get straight into a couple of slides and then some demos. So we got Santa. Santa's got a big job to do, ladies and gentlemen. He's got to deliver presents to hundreds of millions of kids all over the world, and all this got to be done in only a few hours. Takes a lot of logistics, a lot of planning to get this machine operating. Thankfully, thanks to the little thanks to the power platform, Santa can automate and get some better insight into what's going on in his operation. And here's a few hints about how you can get the same maybe in your organizations as well. Let's get into the architecture. North Pole Power Architecture. There's four big parts of this. First of all, we got Power BI. Like a lot of organizations, Santa started off with Power BI, cranking up some reports, getting a little bit of insight. But Santa's not one to do things ordinarily. He likes digging into things. He reached deep into that app source gift box that exists inside in Power BI and pulls out some of his favorite visualizations to put on top of his reports. And we're going to be able to have a look at some of those reports. Power agents. Santa can be a bit of a pain. Continuously ringing up the elves going, would you add this person onto the list? Sending emails in there. Oh my god, your head be wrecked from him. What did we do for Santa? We gave him a chatbot. So now when he's out on his travels, he taps into his phone, has a little chat with his bot to add a person to the naughty or nice list, and we're going to see that in action tonight. Power apps. The workshop, lads. There's a lot of organization in the workshop. It used to be totally paper driven. Alright, could you believe it? Paper everywhere. Writing down who's getting what. Now it's all integrated. Now we got a power app in front of us. Every elf is mobile and he can be checking the list, ticking off who's got the presents done. All in the face, all in their hands. And then we can't talk about the power platform without talking about Power Automate. It's the sticky glue that holds the whole thing together, making everything work and communicate. So let's dig into a little bit more about behind these things. It's demo time. Well, let's start with the reports. Again, lots of organizations start with reports. Let's get a quick little glance at some of Santa's reports in here. Alright, so we got Santa. We've got our North Pole app. We're going to go into our North Pole app and cranking up our first set of reports in here. Nice little festive little bit of a gift going on there just to put us in the mood, let us know what's going on. But then we can check into some statistics. Santa keeps an eye on the kids. We all know he keeps an eye. But he also does a lot of analysis on top of it. And this is one of the visualizations he likes to break out in there, an infographic visualization. Alright? And now we're doing a little bit of analysis on here about, we can see that in the whole 0 to 6, we have a very strong belief, guys, going on, which is great to see, you know. Also, Santa with the times, he's got the non-binary children catered for in here as well. Then 7 to 10 category, a little bit of a drop in the niceness factor. Definitely by the time they're hitting 11, 13, we are seeing a little bit of a drop in the niceness going on. And of course we're seeing the other side of this is the naughty side that goes up in there, which might explain, boys and girls, why some of us don't get onto the list once we're age 13 plus, you know, a little bit too much of naughtiness going on. Let's get looking at the next one. It's well known that Santa's workshop runs on pure music, continuously pumping the tunes in there. And Santa, bit of a control freak, likes to know what type of music's going on, so he throws up this quick little chart of what are the words going out in there. And he's always happy to see that Santa and Christmas feature highly in most songs that you can kind of put up there on anything to do with Christmas in there. Keeps Santa happy, keeps the elves happy. Now, Santa's quite the data scientist, and one of his favorite visualizations is the box and whisker chart. The box and whisker chart is a great way of looking at a distribution of numbers. Conveys a lot of information in one quick glance. For example, if we look at last year's Christmas present, or the average weighted Christmas presents in here, we can see that the mean was coming in at 7, but actually, you know, we had an outline whiskers going up in here, but this is the whole major general area. you know, between the two upper and lower boxes on here. This is where most of our presents are sitting in. Now this year he's noticed a distinct increase. That's going to factor into sleigh aerodynamics. So the old engineers will take this away, do a bit of analysis on it, come back to it. Box and whisker, very useful. Keep it in mind for your own work. And then we got a complete manufacturing process going on. Okay, so we've got a Sankey chart here going from start right to the end. It's not just about the workshop. It's the whole process before and after. For example, we've got the mines. We have to bring up the raw material. So you can see here, oh, this is all our flow of data out from the mines into our process and refinery, because we got to, you know, we got to make high quality raw materials going in there. And then into component manufacture. We have component manufacturing workshops everywhere. Everywhere, all year round they're working in there. And then, and only then does it actually get into what we kind of call the workshop. So we've got the assembly workshop area in here. Now you might note we do a little bit of third-party outsourcing. That's why the Amazons and all of those things come into play, alright? We do use Amazon to get some of those presents out there. All part of third-party act going in there. Back up to assembly, into the wrapping department, and finally we pass it out onto the reindeer stables so we can deliver it on to all the nice children out there. But you might notice there's this little pat up here for those who are on the naughty list. We go straight to the mine, dig up some coal, bring it to the reindeer, and drop it out to the naughty children. It's all factored in here. We like to get that visualization on top of it. Finally, just another quick one in here. We're talking about the route planning. Now, I'm in charge of the Irish area, all right? And there's two classic routes going on for Santa over Ireland, all right? We have the well-known West Coast curve, all right, where we pop in there over Donegal, follow down the West Coast, cutting over to the East Coast, a little bit of an inland tuck, end up over Dublin, head out over Northern Ireland. But this year we might go for the Atlantic slingshot route, alright, coming in from Donegal, cutting down, this time heading down the East Coast, doing an early drop in Dublin, heading down onto there into Waterford, Cork, my own area, and then heading back up. Finally, the reindeer bank sharply inland to do a big slingshot out over past Mayo, Sligo, and over to our US friends. So that's just a little bit of the visualizations that Santa has going on there. And there's loads more. But these are the ones that we wanted to pick out because they're special. They're inside the app box. They're not the normal lines and column charts. There's loads in there that we should be digging into, find out a bit more what we can do in our organizations. Now, the next thing I want to show you, a chatbot. Lads, this is a lightsaber. A lightsaber? Did I say lightsaber? We created a chatbot for Santa because he's continuously shouting at us. Add people to the list, take him away from the list. So this is, we'll give him his own way of doing it. So we're teams now in the North Pole. So we got a chatbot sitting in teams. Let's show you how it works. This obviously is a preview, lads. We can't show you the real chatbot because that will be a GDPR problem going on there. So let's check it. So let's check the list. Check the list. We just type it into our chatbot. And after a couple of seconds, our chatbot, oh, we've got 3 nice children and 1 naughty in there. Okay, good to know. Let's add to the list. Oops. It doesn't understand lost. It needs to know its list. What child am I going to add? Well, I'm going to add in a child called John. We're adding John on in there. Oh, is John naughty or nice? Well, I'm afraid John's been a bit naughty. We're going to have to add him to the naughty list. All right. Now let's do a check the list again after all this. Check the list. And we can see how that's going to go up now to, we got 2 naughty children in here now, so you know, so it's all happening in real time in there. But I feel sorry for John. I think that was a harsh call. So we're going to update the list. I'm going to update the list. And who are you updating? Well, I'm updating John. And this time I'm going to put him on the nice list in there. Alright, that's been updated. And another check the list. Another check the list to see if that's gone through. Alright, so we're back to 4 nice children and 1 naughty out there. So lads, this is brilliant. Chatbot at your fingers. It's a fantastic way of integrating in with any team out there, with any user out there. If you can come up with something that you can automate, you still have the question of how do we run? How do we start the automation? Because maybe it's something that's still on a user request. So now we can have a chatbot that's just sitting there in Teams, and it's calling off Power Automate jobs behind the scenes. It's not just limited to Santa's list though. No. Elves, we get very busy. We have to hire hundreds and hundreds of elves. And they're always coming to me, the IT guy, going, can you add them to AD? Can you change his security group? So now I can do something like this. I can go create user. Alright, and it's going to ask me what's their name in there. So I'm going to go John the Elf. Alright, does ask me their surname. We'll call him Barry. And also their email. We'll just call it John the Elf. That's their email. And now that's going to go away. Bang, bang. There you go. They exist inside in the Azure domain now for me, all set up. And then I can go in and update security. So, for example, maybe you're using Azure AD security groups to control things. And, there's a chatbot now, didn't quite understand me, but kind of came back and says, well, what do you want to do in here? And I want to add a user to an AD group to enable access to systems. And what else? Well, we'll do it for John the Elf. John the Elf. And I'm just going to add him into my test security group that I have there. And done. Azure Active Directory security groups updated. All at my fingertips in here, lads. It's brilliant. So really consider chatbots as a way of getting things into Teams to put it into the hands of users so they can start kicking off automation themselves. But no, we got to go back to our app now, because we have got to go back to our workshop. And this is all great. This is data entry information. Santa's happy. He's putting things into chatbots. We got our reports, reporting on things in there. But we still got our factory floor operations going on there. So let's go back. And let's go back to our... we can go a couple of ways, actually. I've put it into my little app in here that we were looking at. I can go on track with my Power app. So I'm going to click on that. And that launches up the North Pole Inc. app. And there you go now. I have a Power app popping up in front of me, and I've here got my list of nice children. I can turn over and click on the naughty list, and I can see, oops, marks on the naughty list. And go back to the nice one in here, and if I go clicking on any one of these guys in there, then it actually pops up the toy list as well that they're expecting in there. Alright, so looking through all of these guys, well, they're all looking for surprises in there at the moment. Let's go back to that naughty list. I think it's a bit harsh. I'm going getting an Xbox S myself. I think it's a bit harsh that I'm on the naughty list. So to be honest, we're going to actually update that in real time going on there. And now we'll go back to our list. And in case you don't believe me, let's go back to that chatbot. Alright. I'm going to add to the list. And I'm going to add Alfie, my dog. He's asleep beside me. I'm going to add Alfie. And Alfie is definitely nice. Okay, that's been added to the list. So let's pop now back to my app, do a quick refresh, and there we go. Alfie's on my list in there. Now we can also, of course, once we're going through the present wrapping process in here, once we got the present ready, hopefully my Xbox S is ready to go, and we can just tick that one off in there and kind of go, right, that's saved now. Let's go on to Cara, her present's done. Oh, Oisin's not done. Maybe let's get that one ready in there as well. And flicking back and forward. It's all in there. So this is our app in our hands, what people can interact with inside in our workshop while they're making those toys to make it all work. And all tied back to the same systems we're using to capture data. How does it all work? I'm going to show you the Power. I'm going to show you the Power Agent. We're going to actually start doing a little bit of a Power Agent build in here. So let's go back to Teams. And we are going to go, I'm in my Teams environment now, so I'm actually using Power Virtual Agents for Teams. It's a specific license, it's a free license, well, it's part of the Office 365 licensing. You don't need to buy a special Power Virtual Agent license for this. So let's go clicking in here, and you can see in here I got Power Virtual Agents. So right within my Teams environment, just going to pull up an editor. I can go to my chatbots. I can see here one of my chatbots called Elfbot. So I'm going to click on Elfbot. And with the with the Power Virtual Agents, there's a few concepts that you need to wrap your head around. There's topics, which is where it kind of all really works from, right? So if I go into topics in here, these are the different questions I can ask of my chatbot. So I didn't just show you all of them. I got one called weather, where you can actually just type in what's the weather and it'll give you information. Santa's very obsessed with the weather. All right, here's my check the list that you saw me looking at. Here's my update the list. So all of these are trigger phrases that you kick off. Okay, so if I go looking at the update the list one, you can see in here my trigger phrases are update the list or just a straight update. And then there's a conversation point starts happening between the chatbot and the user in Teams. So first of all, there's something in here that goes, well, let's ask a question. All right, so who are you updating? I'm updating the list in here now. So it's ask a question and it captures back that entire response and puts it into a variable for child. And then asks another question. Are they naughty or nice? Multiple choice question in here, naughty or nice, and captures back the result of that, puts it into a status. And then here's the Power Automate, the sticky glue behind everything. All right, here's the Power Automate where I'm calling a Power Automate called ElfBot, update the list. All right, I'm passing in the child, the status, and who's doing this. And then the output that will come back from that, in this case, just a child, just get some confirm. And then it's passing on the name of that child and a message back into me. We can actually test this right inside in here, and it gives you an idea of how all of this flows. If I was doing an update the list in here, go update, and we see here on the right hand side how it will flow through, and it's done the first two actions, and there's my question coming back. Who am I updating? So poor old John, I'm going to make him naughty again. And now, ask me the question, are they naughty nice? I'm going to go naughty, and now it's popped down onto my action, flashed up, executed my action, back down here, John's been updated now. So you can see how you can flow through in here, how you can create a workflow of questions, gathering user responses, calling Power Automate jobs, and that's all surfaced up in a chatbot going in there. Let's go back to our list again. If you were doing this right from start, you would be coming along with a new topic, all right? And you can see in how here, how it all starts off, well, put in your trigger phrases. So whatever your trigger phrase will be in here, add it on here. Okay, add in the trigger phrase Xmas. And then from here then, this is a standard message that will come out from my chatbot. And now I can turn around and go, well, what am I going to go from here? And I can add on conditions, I can call my actions, my Power Automate actions, I can show a message back, or I can redirect it onto another topic. So another topic within my chatbot that can handle something else in there. Okay? And if I go looking at the call on actions, when I click on that, it shows me all of the actions that I actually have set up inside my tenant in here, but I can also create a flow right within this environment. And this is interesting because what this is going to do is, I'm going to go on my Power Virtual Agent flow template. And this will show you how the Power Virtual Agent interacts between your Teams chat session and Power Automate. So basically there's a Power Virtual Agent input, Power Virtual Agent output, and in between you have all of the connectors, all of the activities that exist inside in Power Automate, whatever's going on there. So that's what makes this whole thing work in there, that agent job kicking onto it. The Power App, let's close out that. Okay, so we're over there. Let's pop over into my Power App side for a second. Here's my app. So I'm going to go to make.powerapps.com. And here's the list. So I go check on that. And this will bring up a simple one-screen form. Oh, apologies, I already have it open. It is. Here it pops up a simple one-screen form in here, and the basic flow of this is you set up data. So I have it connected into a SharePoint list. Forgive me, we don't run production on SharePoint, but I test on SharePoint. So I got a data set connection to two different things. I got it to Santa's list. So this is actually Santa's list. This was the list I was updating when I was interacting with the chatbot. So I got a connection to that. I've also got a connection to the present list. And then on the left hand side, I'm just getting a view of one. The one in the middle is just responsive to it in here. So when I click on this, you can see how it comes around and goes okay. It's basically going to update a variable. It's also going to update a variable for the selected child from this list, and then calls the edit form, which is over here. Okay, and that's the edit form that allows me to update my status settings on there. When I click away, when I click on the save button up here, auto calls the Power Automate submit form, which is basically just taking that form, which is simply connected to data, recognizing that there's data fields in there, press save, and it commits it straight back to your SharePoint list, in this case, going on there. And the one in the middle is simply a filter on Santa's present list, where I'm passing in the variable of whatever was the selected child, which is what happened when I came in here. There's a bit more to Power Apps than that, but it just gives you a quick flavor of how you can be using one part of the Power Platform to input data, and another part of the data to be updating, maintaining the exact same data set somewhere else, to give a real cohesive feel to everything. So, let's go back to my slides. What next? Well, where could we go with this? Well, Santa's got some tricks up his sleeves, alright? For example, imagine Power AI, the naughty nice list. It's the ultimate ML classification list. They're either nice or they're naughty. And we've all these characteristics of the children, their age, what they've been up to, what their hobbies are, what's going on during the year, have they done the schoolwork. We feed it all into a big machine logic, and then suddenly we can spin it through and get the results out. But don't worry, Santa will put his magic touch on top of it. There will be a bit of Santa magic to make sure that every single child is correctly classified, and I'm sure they're all nice. What else is going to happen in here? Power Goals, part of Power BI in there, where you can have a goal-orientated program set up inside in Power BI itself. You can set up objectives, and you can set up goals behind those objectives, some sub-objectives, some sub-goals, and we're going to use this to get to Santa's goal-orientated program to deal on what he's called an EPFC. All right, elves play at home for Christmas because we're very busy, and the target is that we want a day off at Christmas too. Ultimately, the only way we can get to this is a present underneath every tree by 2 a.m. Going to have a lot of work involved in lads. Power Goals will help us out. And finally, Christmas verse or Dataverse. It's going to be our Dataverse Power Repository of every elf, gift, reindeer and child out there, all maintained inside in our Power Platform Dataverse world in there. Things that we might see this time next year when I'm doing another talk about what goes on in North Pole Inc. That's it for my session, lads. I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit of insight about how Santa's grotto works, and maybe a little bit of insight how you can take some of Santa's techniques into your own organizations. Happy Christmas. Take care.